Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, bye.
Am I doing? I forgot what the plan was. Hi, welcome to Cutscenes and Cupcakes, the podcast, where I forget that I'm supposed to do the introduction. I'm Steph.
I'm Marlee.
I'm Lindsey.
And we're here to talk about video games.
Yay.
And usually sometimes we talk about baked goods, but we were not prepared today.
Oh.
And it's Super Bowl night, the night that we're recording this. Not to like give away podcasting magic, because who knows when this will be released.
Let's talk about a baked good that you would usually do for the Super Bowl.
Cake.
What kind?
My parents, I was going to go over to my parents, but plans changed. And my mom was, Steph's going to hate this, but it's this really, really yummy banana cake.
Ooh.
And it's, it has like thick frosting on the top. It's so good. Like it's more like a whipped cream kind of like frosting. Yeah. It's very like light and fluffy, but it's like this big layer. It's so good.
I'm so hungry right now.
I like savory treats, so I would be eating probably like cream cheese stuffed jalapenos wrapped in bacon.
All right.
Yeah. Or like celery and ranch. I like
exotic.
I like celery and carrots in like a fatty ranch.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? It's delicious.
I don't.
Maybe some tomatoes and some peppers.
Well, now you're going too far.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, Lindsey. Out of all those things you listed, I like carrots.
Those are my least favorite of the things listed. I would be indulging in some kind of sweet and salty Chex Mix pretzel creation. That sounds really good. Or do you guys remember that fudge we made in college that was like Nutella and peanut butter and one other ingredient I don't remember?
No, but that sounds so delicious. Good.
I think it was like powdered sugar or something. Like it was really simple.
And
it was
so
delicious.
Good. So yeah, something like that.
I made this really good, like a couple Valentine's Days ago, peanut butter ganache brownie that was so damn good. I should make it again. Like I'm dreaming of it.
Make it for me.
I love ganache.
I love peanut butter.
This Cutscenes and Ganache.
Ooh. I mean,
peanut butter and what's a gaming term that starts with P? Poning and peanut butter.
I mean, this isn't dessert, but tonight I did make some really, really good homemade pizza. Like probably some of the best homemade pizza I've ever made, you guys.
Marlee sent me a picture and it looks amazing. She did not send it to Steph.
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't you send it to me? You guys are talking about it in the chat, and I never.
She did send it to you.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Yeah, you didn't see it earlier.
Yeah, I must have just saw the messages after the picture.
Oh, yeah. I
I
decided to use like real, like good cheese. Oh yes,
Ooh,
that's half of it's breadsticks and half
great.
of it's pizza. Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I didn't want to use pre-shredded cheese because like I had like my coworkers the other day, sorry, tangent, but my coworkers the other day went off about pre-shredded cheese and how bad it is for you because like all the extra preservatives and like things that they like put in with that. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I was like, when we were picking a cheese for our pizza, I was like, you know what? I want to try some like fresh mozzarella, like find like a big block of it and I'll just shred it myself. But then I found these mozzarella little pearls that were already like it's mozzarella, but ended up being like the best cheese I have ever had on a pizza.
Well, Lindsey and I need to talk to your coworkers.
Like we've been sitting here with sour looks on our face ever since you said your coworkers went on a tangent about all that crap. They're wrong. All cheese is good cheese.
Well, yeah, but there's like actual like chemicals and preservatives like
Those are good for you, Marlee.
There's
You
also
need those
chemicals and preservatives
preservatives.
and block cheese to make it stay shelf stable.
It's chemicals and preservatives that you need in your body. There's natural chemicals and preservatives that you need like for your daily values.
But it tastes better because the shredded also has kind of that waxiness.
What kind of cheese are you
All
getting?
cheese is good.
The cheap cheese, because cheese is expensive, but I decided to splurge, and so I got some really good cheese.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I guess.
But me and Stephanie will eat our cheap cheese as well.
Okay, then I won't make you the pizza with the yummy cheese.
I was gonna say
all cheese is good cheese. How many times do I have to say it?
I often eat cheese about my feelings.
Aww.
I love cheese. I was gonna say we should have a party where you make the pizza and I'll make peanut butter ganache brownies, and Lindsey needs to make something worthwhile that makes us love you more.
Okay. I mean,
no pressure.
You know, I cook every day for a living, and then also I would cook for you, and already I'm worthwhile, I'd hope.
Well, you just need to bring your lovely face then, and something yummy for me to eat. Maybe I'm just hungry.
I think I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since like noon.
Yeah, don't be jealous, but I came home and made some microwave taquitos for dinner.
Ooh, yum. Oh, that reminds me. I have an Uncrustable right here. I microwaved it a little too long, though.
You microwave your Uncrustable?
It was frozen.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We've talked a lot about food. I ate a lot of that today. It was great.
It's a big part of our podcast that we've been ignoring for a while.
Oh, yeah. I did have some really yummy ice cream as well today for dessert. It was like that Smith's brand black raspberry ice cream with chocolate chips in it.
I love that stuff.
So good. Yeah, I think we've all had it together, actually, now that I think about it. But I got it in like a little pint one.
Mm-hmm. Yummy.
Anyways, I wonder if you guys wonder what we're going to be talking about today.
I think they've already tuned out if they don't wonder that.
What video game specifically?
There's going to be a spoiler alert.
A lot of spoilers.
Do you want me
particularly
to make a
the big one at the end that none of us are satisfied with?
Yeah, we have feelings about. So we're talking about Little Hope. Part of the Dark Anthologies made by what? BioWare?
Supermassive.
Supermassive.
No, hang on. Let me fact check.
Marlee, you have the Wikipedia page up.
I'm going to it. Hold on. I'm just making a.
Yeah. Little Hope is made by Supermassive. Okay, I was right.
And published by
Black Hole.
Bandai Namco Entertainment.
Okay, we've talked about some of their previous games. We talked about The Last of Us. Nope. Until Dawn. I always mix those up. Until Dawn. And then we talked about Medan.
And The Inpatient.
Oh, fuck The Inpatient.
Right. It's not a real game, so we're not going to talk about it.
Zoner, you can bleep that one out, but I meant it with all my heart.
There we go.
Oh, I might say my own F words.
It's Dark Pictures Anthology.
There we go.
Dark Anthology's pictures.
All right,
Okay.
Marlee, read us a little synopsis.
Okay. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope, also known simply as Little Hope, is an interactive drama survivor horror video game. And it is the second of 8. Whoa, it's the second of 8 planned installments. Did we know this? I thought there was only like 5.
With how this game and Man of Medan are gone, I think they're done after the next one.
Yeah,
that's my prediction.
Yeah, so this one followed 2019's Man of Medan, and the successor is going to be called House of Ashes, and it's planned to be released this year. Okay, but back to Little Hope. So you play from a third-person perspective, and you assume the control of all 5 characters who are trapped in a ghost town called Little Hope. And the nice thing about this one, too, is that you can
Marley's cats are going crazy.
Oh my gosh! Marley's cat just was playing with her ID badges on the wall and then just fell pathetically to the ground.
Oh my gosh!
It's also the chonky kitty,
Well,
which makes it that much better.
That's how they learn, Marlee.
He's just like kind of sitting here and he's just kind of looking around. Like, what's
cool.
No one saw that except everyone on this recording.
Oh my goodness, that cat cracks me up. Oh, that's funny as soon as I turned my camera. Okay, anyways. The thing about Little Hope also, so yeah, you can play alone and you can just play each of the 5 characters, or you can like split it up. And if you're going to play with friends, then you like assign like a person to each character and then you pass around the controller. So that's kind of fun. I mean, Man and Medan was the same way. And I actually really enjoyed that aspect. But sorry, back to a little bit more about Little Hope. Okay. So this is definitely one of those games where you have like different dialogue options and they like influence the course of the narrative and the relationships between the characters. There's also multiple endings with multiple scenarios. Let's see. Definitely a lot of QTEs. Yeah, and if you miss them, then they can lead to dire consequences, which we definitely experienced.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, so the story kind of starts off like you're in like you can tell that it's the 1970s and you're just like in this house and there's like a bunch of family members and there's a creepy little girl that's like the younger sister and you can tell she's kind of troubled. And then the house goes up. She like lights the house on fire and everybody dies in it. And you're just like, what the heck is going on? And then you fast forward.
One of the little girls from The Shining.
Yeah.
Well, it's also important to know everyone dies in the fire except one kid.
Oh, yeah.
One of the sons. And he goes outside and his neighbor's like, what have you done? And then he just looks at him and then runs back into the house. The burning house.
But it leaves it ambiguous to what happens to this guy. All the other ones you know, all the other ones you know are dead for sure, but it's ambiguous to if the last kid died or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you fast forward to like modern day, and you're in a school bus, right?
It's more like a grade
or a bus, yeah. And you're man, guys, this was like a few months ago when we played the
We started in like November.
So I'm trying to remember like exactly
finished
what happened.
A couple weeks ago.
But yeah, so they're in a bus and they're going down this like deep, like dark, creepy road, like very like rural. And they
in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And there's like something like comes out in the middle of the road, or the driver thinks he sees something, and so he like crashes the bus, right? Isn't that what happens?
Yes, but first he's asked to take a detour by a policeman.
Into Little Hope.
Oh, yeah.
Into Little Hope. And he's like, well, I don't want to inconvenience these people.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, no, just go through Little Hope. You'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. And so then he crashes. And then everybody like comes to, and the bus driver is missing. And everybody else is there. And they're just like, okay, well, we need to figure out what, like, we need to get to safety. Like, we need to figure stuff out. And so
their
like,
cell phones aren't working, of course.
Except for the flashlights, which last the whole game.
Oh, yeah. And
I want a battery like that.
Right? They decide to head towards the town of Little Hope to see if they can get some help. And just like all these sorts of like creepy things start kind of happening. There's some jump scares, and the players are definitely trying to debate what to do, because not everybody wants to go to the town. Some people are like, we should stay by the bus. Let's stay here by the wreck, and wait for someone to come help us. And so there's a lot of like that. What was that?
That's my boyfriend opening the Chipotle bag. Or it's
Oh.
Hamilton. I'm not sure.
It sounded like pots and pans or something.
Really? Oh, it's just like a crinkling.
Oh, but yeah, and then because that's kind of the
You have very sharp ears.
that's kind of the part of the game where you really start to establish like your relationships with the other characters. You know, there's a lot of dialogue and there's a lot of like kind of that back and forth from the beginning. You know, you got to kind of set it up because it does affect how things are going to be the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else.
Then they start having flashbacks
Yes.
to a witch trial.
Yeah.
So Little Hope is I think it's a play on Salem, where it's like a little witch village where there were people burned at the stake for being witches. And they all start having flashbacks, and they notice that all the characters in their flashbacks look a lot like them. So that's cool, not creepy at all.
Oh, well, and also we should mention that from the prequel? No, not prequel. What is the word I'm thinking of? Like the intro to the game when they're in that like 1970s house. The thing is like all of a sudden these characters, these people who were like in the bus, were like, wait a second, we've seen them before. They were all those people that we saw that died in the burning house from the 1970s. And so we're all, you know, and then once we start to see them in the flashbacks in the 1600s with this like witch trials and stuff, that's when we're like, okay, there's some doppelganger stuff going on here.
Yeah. No, it's a really cool concept. Okay, first of all, the idea of like a Salem witch trial-y game is really cool to me because I really dig the Salem witch trials. I think that part of history is cool because it's all about like finding the scapegoat, trying to get out of that sticky situation, and
it's creepy too.
Yeah, and you can tell that these stories are like 3 stories intertwined, and you're trying to figure out how and why. So it's cool. It's kind of a cool story. You're really intrigued by it.
Well, and there's also like, it seems to be like this common denominator of this little girl who's
the troublemaker.
Yeah.
But so the little girl is the only non-playable character of like these brothers, sister, mom, dad characters. So in like the 70s household, it's a mother and father, but they're foster parents. And then all these characters, the other 3, and then the little girl are all foster siblings. In the modern day, they don't have a lot of connections.
They're just
all
like all
students.
They like
they're all
and the dad's the
or
professor.
They're teachers. Yeah. And then in the 1600s, as you go throughout the game, you realize that these people are connected, but not as siblings.
They all got accused, or like they were all neighbors, or
they were all connected with the little girl,
right?
And so there's a lot of jump scares because you keep going back and forth to this modern world to like the 1600 world, and like really dark things going on. Like they burn someone at the stake, they drop someone in the water, like
they crush a guy with big boulders.
They crush a guy, So dark things are going on, and then the doppelgangers from the 1600s start coming after the modern day people in real life, which is how
and they can interact with each other. Like, you know, they talk to each other and they're like, why are you dressed so weird? Or, you know, like, what are you talking about? And they can answer each other, but it seems to be only for glimpses.
Which is how we ended up killing a couple characters, because I thought, oh, damn, they have to like confront their past. They should go talk. They should go talk to because like one of the girls, one of the girls was burnt at the stake for being a witch. And so this like charred body started coming after her. And I'm like, what would happen if she wouldn't talk to her? And you know what happened? She got fucked.
Not really. She just got murdered.
She just got murdered. But so I feel like I felt this way with Man and Medan. The story starts out so intriguing. and it's really interesting. And I'm like, awesome. They're going
And the
somewhere.
setting is perfect.
So much potential.
And this whole idea of these 3 timelines, like
The
interacting with
doppelgangers.
each other. And like, so the beginning, you see the 70s part, and then you don't see that part. Like, you don't see 70s stuff going on till the very, very end. So you're like, where's that going to come in? How is that going to play into it? Like, you want to see convergence with all of them. And it just has.
Sorry. You were waving around your Powerade and it just made me laugh.
Sorry. And then the ending happened, and you're just like, oh, that's what they decided to go with.
Well, even in the middle, there were some really problematic gameplay elements and story elements. Like the professor, the dad or whatever, he had no consistency in his character. Like he'd be like, let's cross the bridge. We have to cross the bridge. The bridge is the only way. And then like a second later, he'd be like, I'm not going across that bridge. And I'm like, what the heck's wrong with you? And then like we had kind of a funny experience with our playthrough where like they decide to go across the bridge and he goes, and then it shows him, then it like kind of cut scenes, and then it shows the same bridge and he comes running back and just jumps over the railing and just runs for it. And I'm like, okay. And so we just kind of laughed about that. But like, there were just issues with it. And then the QTEs, just like Man of Medan, there were some kind of lags and flaws with that. It was hard to get them just right. I don't need them to be super dumbed down and easy, but like, just like Until Dawn's QTEs are very fair, I think.
Yeah.
Like they're responsive. And yeah, you don't have a lot of time, but that adds to the suspense.
The Heartbeat QTE in this and Man of Medan were messed up.
Yeah, they were not like, they just weren't registering it. Like because you had to be like on the timer, like it showed like a scale. It was like a scrolling scale. And you had to be like, press X, like X, X, X.
Yeah.
But like you would do that in that right pattern it was asking for, but it never lined up.
Yeah,
we never got those right.
And it wasn't like even like a specific person just being bad at sound and patterns. Like it was just like, it was all of us, you know, it was the game. It definitely was not like a player thing, I think.
Well, sorry, Steph.
I was going to say, some of the bad guys, like there's a bunch of QTEs where you had to jump over a car, duck under like some brush, and then like the bad guy just like walked right through it. There was like a big gap in the road, and you're like, okay, I have to jump over this bad guy or jump over this ditch. And then you do it and you look back and the little guy is just like floated over it. You're like, okay, that's
well, and they're going so slow that you're like, yeah, I'm getting ahead. And then it would just show them right there behind you, no matter if you got the QTE right or not. And I'm like, okay, like make this a little more intriguing. And then another main issue with the gameplay is they had a little mechanic where you could like aim the gun at a certain point on the screen. They gave you no time to do that. And it moved so slow, and it was not an intuitive button on the control. So there were so many issues. Like those were hard to get. I think Blake got some. But other than that, we all just kind of failed because we're like, what's going on? Oh, it's going so slow. There's no way I'll get there. Oh, it's over. You know, like.
Well, and I like more specifically, like I think you had to use the right trigger the right joystick to move it over. But like the rest of the game, like
or it was the left. It was just weird.
Well,
it was weird to the rest of it.
Yeah, you'd think it should be the left because that's typically, I feel like that's typically like what it is, because usually you aim with the left and shoot with the right. I don't know.
Little Hope.
Yeah.
But no, like by the time you were trying to figure it out, it was too late.
Yeah. And then should we just talk about the ending?
Yeah. So the ending.
Let me put up the
spoilers.
Spoilers.
So the ending, no matter whether you keep everyone alive or not, pretty much turns out to be that the bus driver turns out to be one of the kids, the kid who ran back into the fire. And he has like tremendous guilt, and he has some fire burns on the side of his face. And he has some guilt about his sister dying because her sister's boyfriend lives in the town. which was like not integral to the story until the very end.
Did we know that the sister had a boyfriend? Because there was flirtations between two of the foster siblings, and she was one of them.
Yeah.
Remember.
And it like played
and you
into
could find
it.
some lore, but you're right, they did. So what the heck was going on?
And it like played into it that her boyfriend was black, but they didn't go into that
until the end when you're like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
And it just kind of recaps and shows you getting chased around by stuff, and it's really just you being chased by your bad past and maybe some schizophrenia or something. I don't want to be inappropriate, but just some kind of psychotic feature.
Right.
So,
but it doesn't go into that either. It's like demons, but also plays into mental health, but doesn't go into
the facets of it, and it doesn't get into like it. And if it did, it didn't do it well. And so, the best case ending is the boyfriend comes up and he's like, "I forgive you for what you did. It wasn't your fault that she died. Okay, bye." And then the worst case scenario is that he's like, "You're the murderer who killed my girlfriend," and then you get arrested for a crime that was like forever late and it wasn't your fault anyways.
Or he gets mad at you for being the murderer, and then he's like, "You are better off dead." And then this guy kills himself.
Oh yeah.
That was the really dark.
That was super dark, and like it wasn't a good ending, and it wasn't a good story. Like
it wasn't fulfilling. Like, did this stuff in Little Hope even really happen? Like the witch trial stuff?
Yeah.
Was that a real thing, or was that in his mind?
Yeah,
the way that the common day, the modern day stuff was in his mind. Was the witch trial just all in his mind?
One interesting thing is that they all died the way they died in the house.
Yeah.
So the dad got crushed, the mom suffocated, the sister burned, and then the brother got impaled, and then the other brother killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there was a whole side. So the little girl in the 1600s was being molested by a priest. So that's why she had like this dark countenance, is because she couldn't tell people that she was being molested. So bad things happened around her.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of transpired into the 70s, where she was a dark character, and you don't really know why, but she's like a weird character that
she's troubled.
Is troubled. And then in the modern day, she's kind of just
a ghost.
A ghost.
Who jump scares you the whole time, even though she's not the main antagonist.
So it's just like what? Like it could have been such a good story. And we know that they can make good stories because they have Until Dawn.
Yeah.
And we talk about it so much because it's a quality game. You know, and it's just it is really interesting that like what is Supermassive Studios doing? Like, did they get a new team? Like, did they not know how good Until Dawn is and how appreciated it is? You know what I mean? Like, did they not know?
Well, and like even if they did have severe budget cuts, I would take like a missing texture or 10 or like bad graphics or whatever trade-off is necessary for a good story. Like, I wouldn't care. They just need to get a good story down and working QTEs.
Well, and I wonder if they didn't do this whole like pass around like branch thing that they did in Until Dawn, and like how they do in Detroit, which is another game where they do the branch storyline and they do so well with it. So I wonder if they didn't try to do that and made it just a story-driven game, if they would do better. Because they wouldn't have to have all these loose ends come together at the end and then have it be such a flop. But they did that with Man and Medan, where it was kind of a lame ending too.
The twist of Man and Medan was predictable as hell.
Yeah.
And
this one wasn't predictable.
This one wasn't predictable, but it was just terrible.
Yeah.
It was just like, like kind of what you guys were saying before. Like, it just wasn't very fulfilling, like at all. Like, it just kind of ended and you're like,
oh, okay.
Huh. Okay. Like, and it didn't even leave you with like that good intrigue either. Like it wasn't like that was so good. Like, oh my goodness. But it was just more like, that's it.
Let's all
Well-
make the face of what we did when we saw the ending to it. Ready?
I don't remember.
If it's the podcast, if you're listening to this, it's not going to be very good for you. But if you're watching us, it'll be great. Just make a face. 1, 2, 3. I liked your first face, Lindsay.
That's my Val Kilmer smile.
Anyways.
I don't know why, because he doesn't smile like that, but I just call it that.
That's Marlee's creepy face. That just reminds me of the meme girl, the like crazy girlfriend stalker.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
I watched a video of her and she's actually really interesting.
I did too on BuzzFeed.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems chill. But
They do a whole series on people who became famous memes. It's
yeah,
kinda interesting.
it is interesting.
Anyways.
back to Little Hope. I would have really liked it again, comparing it to Until Dawn. It's pre predecessor. That it like you couldn't find clues that would cue you into what was going on. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. You could find out about the boyfriend. There was a little bit of that in there, but there wasn't a whole ton of what was going on with the bus driver.
Right.
And so, like, and even in Until Dawn, you can find Josh's phone and his therapist is texting him and he's like, please call me Josh.
Yeah.
You don't need to do this. Like, your friends don't deserve you to, do this or whatever. It's his therapist trying to talk him out of his plan to prank his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You can find out what's going on right before the story reveals it to you. But Little Hope, Man of Medan, they just aren't there. And it's heartbreaking because I expected so much. And I was so excited about Man of Medan.
We really wanted to Man of Medan, like these games are things that we like. Like Lindsay and I really like deep sea sort of ghosty stories and like old ships.
Mm-hmm. Ghost
And
ships.
Salem witch trials. Hell yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Wendigos.
Well, you got the good game.
Another thing,
and only Ice Yetis. They'll probably do Ice Yetis next and ruin it for me because I love Ice Yetis, and they're gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be the what's it called? The Russian Pass incident where it's definitely an Ice Yeti.
What is it? Demolotov.
It's like I want to say Dostoevsky because that's how you said Dostoevsky.
I think it's like Dolotov.
Dyatlov Pass
Dyatlov.
incident. Dyatlov Pass incident. Yeah.
Didn't they just come out with like a breakthrough about that?
I have
We'll have
no
to
idea.
keep you guys
What?
posted. Yeah, like it was a big deal.
I'm gonna find out immediately because I'm obsessed with it.
If you want to
I
listen,
have no idea what you guys are
if
talking
you want to
about.
listen to a good podcast about it, Ashley Flowers.
It's a Yeti
does it.
attack, Marlee. There's no other explanation. It's
No,
a Yeti attack.
It's so much more interesting than just a Yeti attack.
It's crazy.
It's
I could do a whole podcast on it.
I'm telling you, video game true crimes.
And then the name of the podcast will be the Dyatlov Pass incident, it was a Yeti. Like, I will make that the podcast name. I feel very strongly about this.
It's so much better than Yetis.
It is. But I know, I'm not saying like, oh, they came and an animal had gotten them. It's like they left their tent in the freezing cold in their underwear in a calm and orderly fashion, judging by their footprints, and froze to death, except one girl's tongue was ripped out. Like, crazy stuff.
And
Anyway.
they happen to be in the area of like government testing shit going on.
Yeah.
Like there's so many levels to this story. It's bananas.
Okay, you need to
Bananas.
tell me what these podcast episodes are, and I'll check it out.
All right.
Okay.
So maybe
But
Super
yeah,
Master would hire us to write better stories.
I've written a brand story and it's really difficult to do, but it's possible to do
Well, and I
better
was
than
gonna
this.
say, more sensitive to like mental health, because it really did leave like a bad taste in our mouth. Like, like, is it,
Well,
it just isn't satisfying to like, is this a psychotic break or is this like old demons? Like,
or both.
is it like
I
a real
mean-
haunting or is it both? Like, it just wasn't conclusive on like
No.
what it meant. like, even if they were like, okay, he felt absolved, but there was none of that.
Well, and it's like
He just felt like shit and kept feeling like shit.
It's like they use that to like just keep going into the horror factor of the game. And that's not right, you know, because like, especially when it is something as serious as like mental health, like it should be addressed, you know, it should be like something that's at least like some sort of like statement, or I don't know, just like talk about it, address it in some way, rather than just be like, ooh, it was a scary game and now it's over. And you're just like,
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and there's horror stories that do it so well, that like address that mental illness. I'm looking at you, Hill House, like that address it so well and so beautifully. And yeah, it's still scary, but
and
you know,
even
like
Until Dawn.
it's respectful and it's well done. Yeah, even Until Dawn.
That is true. That is true.
So
it can be done, and it has been done. So Supermassive Games, what were you thinking?
And it's been done by Supermassive Games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, what? Like, okay, when we heard, kind of going backwards again, like when we heard that Medan was coming out and that they were going to do all of these Dark Pictures Anthology, like we were all pumped. We're like, yes, we get more of this. And with how disappointing Medan was, and now Little Hope. And the thing is like, we went into Little Hope with very low expectations. So it's not like we had like these super like high hopes or anything. We had Little Hope.
We had Little Hope. Just a little hope for Little Hope.
So you know, it's not like we're shooting for the moon here or anything. So it's like we're just asking for simple.
It reminds me of how they're gonna, like, they made the Mummy with Tom Cruise in it.
Oh,
and how
yeah.
they had, like, plan to make the whole like dark series.
And then they were like, never mind. That's not going to happen.
Mummy was horrible.
I never watched it.
I
didn't either.
It was not worth it. It was another one that like could have been really good and then ended up with such a lame ending. And it was one, we're going to be doing a side mission soon about underappreciated side characters. The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
We've already done it.
The Mummy with Tom Cruise. I wanted the story to be about the Mummy and not Tom Cruise. Ugh. Why do they do this to us?
Well,
is it just Tom Cruise doing backflips for like an hour?
Does Tom Cruise
and
have
then doing
more than
some rock climbing?
One movie?
Yes,
like, honestly.
what is your issue with Tom Cruise? Like, he does a lot, and he is typecasted, but he's talented.
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah,
don't make that face.
That's my Tom Cruise face. I can't do it.
And he's cute and he's funny, so people like that.
Yeah.
That's a
did we do our
problems with Tom Cruise?
That's the new name of the podcast.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Tom Cruise is lame and cupcakes.
Should we give our ratings?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
and then stay keep listening, because we're gonna go over our not a sponsors for the week.
Oh yeah, we are.
You guys better think of them while we're doing our ratings.
I've been sitting on mine for months.
I
think I've already done it.
I've been trying to rack my brain throughout this whole episode. That's probably why I was quiet for like 5 minutes. Okay. Ratings. Dang it.
I give it 1 frozen fridge taquito out of 5.
Is it frozen? Like the state of it is frozen?
Yeah.
It's still like, yeah, it didn't warm up in the fridge.
Frozen in the middle, mushy on the edges.
And Supermassive Games, if you listen to this, we want to like your games. We freaking love Until Dawn. In fact,
Hidden Agenda had its moment.
Yeah, Hidden Agenda wasn't bad either. We enjoyed it.
We need to play that one.
Mm-hmm.
We need to play that one again.
But Medan and this game have been so disappointing. Just you have this upward trajectory, and then it's just like a straight down. So like
Plummet.
even if you did some of this, that'd be better than just boop, boop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one taquito.
I give it 1. I mean, what did I talk about earlier? I talked about pizza. I talked
And
about
lemon
banana
cake?
cake. Banana cake.
Banana cake.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's even deserving of banana cake, unless it's because it's banana cake that I didn't get to have tonight because I couldn't have a Super Bowl party. So maybe it's disappointing lack of banana cake, and I only have one piece.
One absent piece of
One
banana
absent
cake.
piece. Because just like, I mean, it's what we've already talked about, like this whole episode pretty much, you know, like it just has so much potential, and the setting was just, it was perfect. It's spooky enough. And there were just so many problems with it. I only give it 1 instead of 0 or a negative because I have to give it at least 1 positive point, because at the same time, even though we all hated it, I feel like we still like had a good time playing it together because there were a lot of really like laughable moments in the game.
And you guys were screaming the whole time, and I kept my cool. Like I didn't get scared except maybe once.
Yeah, so it's still fun to be able to laugh at really terrible games together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. For that reason, and because I'm feeling generous tonight, I'm giving it a 1.75.
Nice.
Over microwaved Uncrustable.
Yes.
But it was good. My Uncrustable was. But yeah, just lots that they could have worked on. And I just really have high expectations for this developer because I know they have it in them.
Right.
And maybe that makes my rankings a little harsher, but that's because it's my podcast. So our podcast.
Yeah, we do what we want up here.
And down here. And in here.
All
and
right,
over there.
Lindsay, since you've been sitting on your not a sponsor, hit us with it.
Okay, did I do the Muse simulation theory thing already? I think I did.
I don't remember.
I don't think so. Do it again.
Okay, I'll do it again. I'm remembering vaguely that I did this, so I'm sorry, but it's relevant today too. So, I really like Muse right now, and like I've been listening to a ton of my like junior high music, so like Muse, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance, Linkin Park, like all of those wonderful bands that just fulfill your soul. And Muse has just gotten me through like a lot. And so today I was just like at work, and I have a really crappy client right now. And so I just turned on like Dig Down acoustic gospel version, and I just wanted to like sing at the top of my lungs and wave my arms emphatically at the air and just cry a little bit while singing and laughing and dying and coming to life all at once. It's just that good. And so I'm just I'm just so happy with them. I'm so proud of them for like their journey that they've taken, like over the course of like since Absolution, when I got into them, to now Simulation Theory. What a band, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I give them a solid 3 out of 5.
Yeah, give them a 4 because you like their bass player.
He was pretty cute.
Yeah, he is cute.
I would go see them live.
Yeah.
It's on my bucket list, and it's just never worked out. So we did go to the IMAX experience, and yeah, that was weird and laughable, but
it was fun.
It was fun, you know.
It got
and
us out of the house.
I just keep thinking of the times when Here Comes Honor, when they would come in and be like, "What the fuck?" And I loved that.
It was so overplayed, yeah.
It was so funny. So like, I don't know. Besides the little movie clippets that they included in there, but like the live performances were mind-blowing.
I will say Lindsay and Jason enjoyed themselves.
Yes.
Stephanie texted and thought that Thought Contagion was saying F the children.
Okay.
We did talk about this. I know we did.
They have strong accents.
Yeah, they do.
It was good.
especially in that song.
Okay, I'm gonna go next.
Okay.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about Muse and their journey.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Muse are great.
I like them too. Sure, they're good.
Marlee. Marlee.
Okay, so I was struggling trying to think of not a sponsor, and I'm like, what have I been doing these past few weeks besides work, and then obviously like playing the video games that we've already been talking about. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was like, I listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts. That's what I do. And I listened to this really, really good book. It's called The Lost Queen, and it's by I'm gonna butcher this name, but I think it's Signa Sign Pike or something like that.
Signa.
I think it's Signa Pike. But anyways, it takes place in like medieval Scotland, and it's just like really good, you guys. Like it's not very like fantasy. It's kind of a little more like historical fiction-y. I mean, there's kind of some fun elements though still with it, kind of because it's kind of back in the old-timey Scotland when they were it's pagans are like people who have like multiple gods for like everything, right?
They're like non-Christian nature. Wiccan
Yeah. Okay.
type.
Yeah. So yeah, it's back when like the Scottish people used to be like pagans instead of like and it's kind of during the time when like Christianity is slowly going northward into the United Kingdom, you know, because we all know that it's been down in like London and everything for a while, but it's been kind of moving its way north and stuff. So they're kind of trying to like fight it off as long as they can. But anyways, it's just a really good story. The second book is I should be able to get it soon because actually I listen to my audiobooks on a library app for the most part. And I actually do know for a fact that my sister has the second book right now and is listening to it. And so I need her to finish it so that I can listen to it. So anyways, The Lost Queen by Signa Pike.
Nice. Mine's kind of a twofer. I've been listening to a lot of Jensen and Holes, the Murder Squad. And they do like 1 hour episodes on one crime. And they're both old ex-crime scene investigators. They're really interesting dudes. But they
one's a journalist, one's a crime scene journalist, and one's an actual investigator.
If you haven't seen I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the documentary, you should watch it because Jensen and Holes are the protagonists besides Michelle McNamara.
Yeah.
They're the heroes.
I had to look up what Billy Jensen looked like. And for he's kind of like the levity of the podcast. And he has such like not a dark countenance, but like he isn't a smiley person.
No, he kind of looks like a psychopath at times.
Yeah, he has
he could be a murderer. Like he's got these like cutting cheekbones and like a gaunt jaw and like kind of crazy eyes.
And like he doesn't smile. He has a lot of pictures where he's very straight faced. Mm-hmm. But in Jensen and Holes, he's like always bringing up like pop culture references, movies, The Avengers. He talks about the Outsiders movies a whole lot. So anyways, those two are lovely. But they did an episode on JonBenet Ramsey, which is something that I had always like. We remember seeing the tabloids with her picture on it when she died for like a long time. I swear JonBenet was in the news for a long, long time. And like, I knew the basic story, but I didn't know much of the story outside of just she was murdered. They think that it was probably the family. And so someone suggested the podcast, Listen Carefully, which is an in-depth analysis of the JonBenet Ramsey case. And it's really interesting. I got to episode 5 today and I realized that I'm all caught up with it. And I'm really annoyed by it because they are going really in depth. They've gone in depth on like the crime scene, on all the clues, on all the murder suspects. And then they're like, okay, we're going to talk about theories next. I'm like, awesome. I'm ready for the theories. and I'm caught up. That's like next week's episode.
That's so
Oh.
sad. I hate that.
I
I
know.
hate it when that happens.
I like on a rule, don't usually listen to serial podcasts unless they're done, because I hate it. I like want to
Yes.
be able to just keep listening.
Mhm.
But I will keep listening to them. It's two ladies. They do an awesome job. And they seem to have researched it really well. So if you want to know more about this really dark case, I definitely suggest listen carefully.
Mhm.
So
Sweet. And I'd actually be really interested to hear Jensen and Hull's take on the case as well. I listened to their episode on Nexium, the cult.
oh yeah, I did too.
And that was really interesting because like Paul Holes hadn't like ever heard about it. And so to hear his like totally fresh take on everything, like as they're explaining it, he just was so intuitive and you're just like, oh my gosh, you're so smart.
Yeah, he like
it's really good.
profiles very like quickly,
Yes.
and he does
so
a good job at it.
So good. Yeah,
They did
I listened to them too.
They did a Jeffrey Epstein episode that was really good too,
Oh.
where they
Hmm.
profile his murder or his suicide. Yeah.
Cool.
True crime and video games.
And historical
Cupcakes.
fiction.
Oh.
Historical
And
fiction
historical
books.
And the Muse.
And Muse, the band.
Agreed.
The Muse, the band.
The Muse, the band.
Well, you
Well-
guys, thanks for listening. And even if you didn't play Little Hope, we're curious to, I don't know, just tell us what you think about the
Yeah.
game.
I
If
do
you
tell
loved
us.
it, tell us why. Like, try and convert us because,
yeah, convince us.
like we said, we wanted to love this game, but it just, ugh.
I
fell
feel
short.
a little bad because we've had two or three people tell us I really wanted to play Medan, and then I listened to your episode. I feel
Oh.
like we're gonna have repeats of this with Little
That
Hope.
breaks my heart. 'Cause
I know.
You should play video
Hey.
games if you want to, you know?
Hey, but it's also nice because they're coming to us for our opinions on the games.
Marlee just likes the power over other people.
Well, you guys, until next time, grab a friend.
Eat some cupcakes.
and play
friends.
some video games. Bye.